Welcome to Financial Thursdays with Juandolyn Stokes right here on Point with Juandolyn Stokes on WAOK. I want to welcome at this time our very special guest. He's a financial author and he's a speaker and educator, Anthony O'Neill. A pleasant good afternoon. Welcome. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, I'm certainly glad to have you to share with us today. You are very purpose-driven and inspired by your faith and your belief and practices. Just overall, what is the financial mindset, would you say, of individuals overall that may need to change or may need to remain the same?
I think the very first thing that I think should change, let's start there first, is that I think a lot of people think if I could just make more money, I would be financially more successful. And that is something that we have to change. We got to get to the mindset of, well, wait a minute, if I can just better manage what I currently have now and really steward that better, then when more money comes in, I'll see more of my income staying within my home. Oftentimes when people come to me, call into my show or sit down with me for financial advice, their number one complaint is like, man, I don't make enough. Or you're making $80,000 a year and you're living in Fayetteville, North Carolina. That is enough. It's not a whole lot, right, in this economy, but it is enough to survive and to have a little bit of freedom. But we got to manage well. Now, here's something that I think should stay.
Okay.
I believe that people are working hard. So we know how to work. We know how to generate income. So that should stay. But what needs to change is how do we keep it, multiply it, and manage it. Those are the first two things I would say this morning.
Well, when you say multiply it, let's go back to education,
Yeah.
financial literacy. Is there a gap? Is there a breakdown? Where does the average person go to learn about, financial literacy, to be on that path to grow in that area?
That is something that I'm very avid about currently. Within the last 2 years, I've actually added something to my, I would say, resume. Is I'm now a professor at Virginia Union University at a HBCU here because I saw the lack of financial education being taught to this younger generation. We're not learning it really in middle school, high school, and our colleges. But the whole purpose of education is to what? Get a job. What's the whole purpose of a job? Is to get income to live off of. So we're giving them the resources and the tools to help them get a job, but we're not giving them the proper education on what it takes to maintain the income of their hard work. And so what we are seeing right now, which it is a good thing, but then it's also a bad thing, Ms. Stokes, is a lot of our people are getting their education from social media. Now, I'm not going to knock that because I'm on social media, but there's a lot of bad advice on social media from people who are just regurgitating content from other social media content experts who are not even thought leaders in this space. So for me, what I would love to see is that our school systems, our churches, our sororities and fraternities, our legit organizations are providing some level of education. And if you're getting education from online, make sure that they are accredited. Make sure that they have some form of education and proof of what they're practicing. So that way, you're getting sound advice. Because I'll say this and then I'll be quiet because I can talk about this all day. But I got my financial education from TV back in the early 2000s. And because of that, that's why I went to buying the cars, having the nice things, because I thought if I'm going to be successful, I need to look like I'm successful before I even have the money. And so I got into debt thinking that I had to have this certain image to be accepted in, rather than saying, hey, you know what? Let me build a solid foundation and build wealth from there. So those are the things I would say.
Well, so when you talk about success, because I think a lot of young people, how they define or view success is different, and that's part of what you learned. How should that mindset be nowadays in terms of success?
At 42 years old, if you would have asked me this question when I was in my 20s, it would have been different. But success now at 42 is, man, I have $500,000 sitting in an investment portfolio account for my children when they graduate college. Success for me is, man, I'm driving paid for cars. Success for me is, man, I have put my money in an account or put my money in situations where now my money is buying back my time. I no longer have to get up every single day and exchange my time for money. Success is not having the latest and the greatest cars. Success is not having the latest new iPhone. Success for me is not having jewelry. Success is, man, can I do what I want to do whenever I want to do it with whomever I want to do it? Success is, man, I could take my kids to Disneyland or to Disney World and not have to finance that. I could pay cash for it and have freedom for it. Now, let me give you the ultimate success, Ms. Stokes, because I'm a 42-year-old single man. And I believe in stewarding my single season correctly. My parents, when they got married, couldn't afford a ring, couldn't go on a honeymoon, couldn't even afford a wedding. They got married at south of the border. So when I think of success, when I get married, I want to have, and I want to take my wife on 2 honeymoons, and each one of them are 6 months long. That's success for me. That is, like, I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking what can benefit my family, not what makes me look good. The biggest flex is not driving on a private jet. The biggest flex is, man, having 2 homes in 2 different continents that are paid for. Success is having true freedom, not the image of being rich.
I hear you. Let's go to break. We'll be back. Anthony O'Neill, financial author, speaker, and educator, right here on Point with Juandolyn Stokes, 404-726-1380. We'll go to break and we'll be back with more on News and Talk, WAOK. Welcome back to On Point with Juandolyn Stokes. Anthony O'Neill sharing with our very special guest, financial advisor, strategist, educator. Anthony, Americans are really growing in credit card debt. What is it that Americans are missing? What are they not seeing? What are they not understanding? What are they not knowing? I see you. I see you smiling. Let's get off of mute. Mute. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm smiling because a report just came out yesterday that America is in $40 trillion of debt now, just yesterday. The average American is carrying about close to $7,000 in unpaid credit card debt. And I think what people are missing is that debt, I believe, is one of the things that's keeping you from financial freedom, specifically credit card debt. And I call this debt that is not building an asset. And so credit cards, it's easy for us to get lost in it. Like, well, okay, wait, if I want this shirt, I don't have the money to pay cash for it today, so I can put it on this credit card and pay for it over the next 6 months. If the shirt costs me $50, I'm gonna pay $75, $80. Now that $75 to $80 is money that's going to interest to pay somebody else's future and leaving your family and preventing you from actually gaining interest. So for me, if you cannot treat a credit card like it's a debit card, you need to cut it up. If you spend more than what you would spend in cash, you need to cut up the credit card. I don't care how many points you're going to get, how many free flights you're going to get, because those flights are not free if you're paying interest. It's only free is if you're paying off that credit card without paying any interest. That's the only time it's free. So I just tell everyone, man, if you can live below your means, get out of credit card debt, be completely consumer debt free for at least 2 years, which is 24 months, build the habit of not paying out interest, then go back to getting a credit card. But the very first time to freedom, the biggest pay raise you can get is getting out of credit card debt, getting out of consumer debt, getting all of your money put back into your account. So now this is what I call margin. We build margin. Now we can use that to invest, to buy property, to invest into our children's future, and to really start building wealth.
How do you get out of debt? You're a student, hypothetically, you're a student, you've got student loans, you've got a couple of more years in college, you needed a car, your parents gave you a used car, it broke down by the time of graduation. Like, how do you get out of debt? What's the plan around that?
That is a plan. Thank you for asking that question. I have a new book coming out next week on Tuesday, August 25th, called Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck. How to build wealth on any income and how to get out of consumer debt, pretty much the proven plan, right? And inside of this book, I talk about how I was in $35,000 worth of debt, and the bulk of that was student loans and credit cards. And the very first thing that I did was, which it has nothing to do with money, but it has everything to do with money, is I had to get a vision for my money. I had to step back and ask myself, what do I desire to do with my money? Do I want to be financially free? Do I want to be debt free? Do I want to have a savings account? Do I want to have an investment portfolio? I need to write down some timelines. And a year from now, I want to be here. 5 years, I want to be here. 10 years I want to be here. Once you have a vision for your money, then you stick to that money. We call that a budget, right? So once you have the vision and the budget, then what you do is there's this philosophy that I call a debt snowball, where you line up all of your debt from smallest to largest, and you make all your minimum payments. You go back to the vision, aka the budget for your money. You see where you have some extra funds at. You take the extra funds, you put it on top of the very first one, and you pay that one off. Once you pay that one off, you take all that money and you put it on top of the second payment. And then from there, you just build a momentum. You're going to start seeing a taste of your money coming back to you. Now you're going to get really, really excited. But it starts from the very beginning, which is a budget. If you're not telling your money what to do every single month, if you're not saying, okay, I'm spending my money on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, ESPN, HBO, Cinemax. Well, why do you have 7 things that's totaling $100 a month for a season? Just have Netflix. Just have one of those. Put some extra money back into your budget to get you out of debt, to use towards getting out of consumer debt. Now you're going to start seeing some freedom, but it starts with really having a plan for your money and stop guessing where it's going.
In your experience, how long has it really taken someone to develop the disciplines that are required to work towards financial freedom?
Man, you asking the best questions. I don't know where you got these questions from. I love this. You know, over the last 15 years of being in this, we have literally helped over 100,000 families get out of debt. And on average, what we've seen, once they really dialed in and they're like, hey, I really want to get out of this situation that I'm in, and I really want to experience financial freedom. And the key word there is freedom, not get rich, but have financial freedom. It takes them on average about 18 to 24 months to really see a true financial change, meaning they have a savings account, a starter emergency fund, which means they have money in the account. When we're seeing right now that 68% of us are living paycheck to paycheck, they're out of consumer debt, or at least 70 to 80% out of consumer debt, bare minimum, and they're starting to taste freedom. And so my book literally gives them a step-by-step plan. This is not a motivational book. It is, hey, do this first, do this second, do this third. Don't go to step number 5 if you haven't done step number 2. Do not pay off your consumer debt if you don't have at least this amount of money inside of your savings account. And there's a strategy to build them up. And that's one thing, if I could leave your listeners to anything, financial freedom is not built by just hoping. It is built by strategy. I've interviewed hundreds of millionaires and 1 billionaire. And one thing that I heard that was common between all of them was they had a system that they followed to build the wealth that they have. And so I built the system for financial freedom for the average everyday person.
How has faith hindered or helped individuals in this journey on financial freedom?
You know what? I've never had someone ask me the question, how has faith hindered? And thank you for asking me that question, because I do believe faith has hindered some people, not because of the faith side, but because of the human side. The hindrance is I'm going to pray and ask God to remove all my debt while I still make some crazy habits, while I still make some bad decisions, because I'm just going to believe that God can wipe out my debt when I'm still out here charging my credit card. So I do believe that faith, sometimes we believe that God will just wipe it all out, which, yes, God can, right? But the other side of that, Bible says faith without what? Works is dead. So we can pray and say, God, I need you, and God can, but we still got to be on our side and have a budget for the money that he has entrusted us with, right? And so faith for me has helped me tremendously because I'm a huge generous person. So I give 10% on personal and on business income. And I believe that my company has succeeded financially well, simply because God can trust me with what he's given me. And when I give 10%, watch this, I'm stewarding the other 90% that is not mine, it's his. So I'm spending it well. It's not perfect because I am human, but at least I am strategically looking at the other 90%, and I'm living way below my means. And I'll say this as a Christian who's a proud member of Union Church in the DMV and Charlotte area. I don't have to pray and ask God to help me pay my mortgage. I don't have to pray and ask God to help me pay my gas bill. My prayers are bigger than that. God gave me the money to pay my mortgage, to get a reliable car, to live within my means. My prayer is, God, I don't want to pray for a house. I want to pray for a community that I could build. I don't want to pray for an apartment. I want to pray, God, help me build an apartment complex. Send me the relationships and the resources that is going to allow me to build apartment complexes that I could put single mothers in, that I could put the elderly in, that I could put people just getting out of jail and transitioning back into real life and help them out. Those are the prayers that I'm praying because I need God to really, really rain down on me. But it all starts with stewardship. Are we stewarding the $50,000 a year that God is giving us? Or are we complaining and saying, God, I need more money? And the whole time God is saying, wait, you don't need more money. I need you to steward better.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you had more money, if you're not a good steward, you won't have that for long either. Let's go to break. We'll be back. Some real truths for financial freedom right here on News and Talk, WAOK. We'll be back. Welcome back to On Point with Juandolyn Stokes, our very special guest, Anthony O'Neill. He's the #1 national bestselling author of Take Your Seat at the Table, live and an authentic life, live an authentic life of abundance and wellness and freedom. And also he's a personal finance expert and host of the popular podcast and YouTube show, The Table. He also has another national best-selling book, Debt-Free Degree. I love it. I love it, Anthony. This is so important. Breaking generational wealth gaps. That's a topic that you're very sensitive about. What was happening with the other generations when you fast forward to generations today? Where's the gap? Where's the breakdown?
I think one of the gaps that we see is, and I say this respectfully, the old American dream, right? The old American dream is about what you can own. Graduate from high school, go to college to get a job so you can own a home while you're working a job, work 40 years to now get a little bit of your free time back. And I think that's the gap. I think today now, the new American dream is about freedom. How can you get access to freedom earlier on? And so I think when I think of the older generation, they taught us how to work hard. This new generation, this new American dream needs to be, how can I quickly get to freedom? How can I have freedom to be a mom, to be present in my kids' life? How can I have freedom to be a more active and present husband? How can I have freedom to I take my children to school in the morning, my wife gets them in the evening. How can we get to freedom so we can really enjoy our life? And I think that's where the gap was. Work hard in the past. Today is freedom. But how do we bridge that gap by really not really working hard, but working hard with working smart to get us to financial freedom?
What do you think about the traditional view of working the 30 years, then retiring versus currently stay on a job 2-3 years, possibly entrepreneurship and another job, education? Is that a part of the gap too, or the new American dream?
I believe that we have to be strategic. I don't believe that
Okay.
everyone is called to be an entrepreneur, but I do
Hmm.
think that everyone is called to be a owner of something. I'm an entrepreneur, but if I'm only an entrepreneur and a business owner, if I have amazing team members who are technically 9-to-5 workers, right? And so we do need solid 9-to-5 workers, but we do need ownership and people who are owners and entrepreneurs, especially within the African American Black community. And so I do not like the philosophy, though, of working 30 years, because they say the average person, especially the average male, let's just say, would die right around 76. I rebuke that. I'm going to live till I'm 100, right? But
Right.
if we go by the numbers, we're retiring at 65, but this means we're going to work for all that time to only enjoy 11 years of our life. When let's pause right there. The average person is working until the day that they die. So my philosophy is, what is the right strategy to get to freedom early? And that's why I wrote the book.
I love it. I love it. And a word that keeps coming up is strategy and stewardship. I love that. Anthony, when it comes to investment, what is the right mindset to approach an investments?
This is really good. I think the very first mindset to have an investment is to really understand what investing is. Investing is for my future and my children's future. When I break it down for myself, investing is I am planting a seed, watch this, that's growing a tree, that's providing shade for my family, not branches, shade. Shade is
Shade.
protection, right? And so my first philosophy is, okay, cool. I need to provide shade, meaning I need to find something that's long term that can grow over a while for generations to come. This is going to be a 401k, especially a Roth 401k. This is going to be a good index fund or a good ETF, low cost ETF. This is going to be investing into an HSA account, which is a health savings account, which is attached to a high deductible health insurance policy. There's no reason to be 35, maybe 45 and healthy, and you're paying a PPO plan when the right strategy should be, let me get a high deductible plan. I pay the first $3,000 out of pocket if I spend $3,000 in 1 year, but then now I have advantages and access to the HSA account, which saves me on taxes 3 times, right? And so everything's about strategy. And I wish we had more time, but I talk about that in Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck on how to build a 7-figure portfolio through those simple accounts that we all have access to, and have that within the next 15 to 20 years.
And those are some of the conversations with people during enrollment time, even on their jobs. When you talk about the health insurance, HSA, people have questions about it, and all they think is these large deductibles, and they overlook it and say, oh, well, let me just do the PPO. But there's a strategy behind it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm 42 years old. And when I did the math, I may go to the hospital maybe 2 or 3 times max a year, guaranteed once a year to get my physical. Then I try to go now 2 times a year to get my blood work done, because the truth of the fact is prostate cancer runs within the males of my family. So I like to go every 6 months just to have my blood work checked so I can catch it if it does come to me ahead of time, right? So those 2 things on a cost me on average about $600. But if I had a PPO plan, yeah, I'm not paying nothing out of pocket, but maybe $25 for a copay. But if I'm spending $300, $400 a month, well, that's in 2 months, I've already paid for it, and I haven't gone to the hospital, right? And so the strategy is look at how often are you going? And if you're going on average 2 to 3 times a year, well, a high deductible plan just simply means you're going to pay the first $3,000 out of your pocket. But if you're only going 2 or 3 times a year, you're maybe spending $1,000. Well, pay that, and you're going to save yourself some money, because a high deductible plan is going to cost you maybe $150 a year. Now you could take the difference of the $150 and what you're paying for a PPO, invest that into an HSA. You can use that money. This is what I get excited about. You can use that money on DoorDash or Uber Eats to buy you some Tylenol, to buy you a pillow, to buy you something with tax-free dollars. Now, let's say if you don't spend all that money, now you can invest it and it grows tax-free. And here's the goal that people do not understand, because we're building a shade for our family and for ourselves. The average person, when they get up to about 7 years old, is going to need about $300,000 just for medical expenses. So now if you have this money growing over 15, 20 years, tax-free, now you can use that money to pay for your medical expenses when you get older. So again, everything is about a strategy, and you just got to have a game plan to where you can actively do it.
Yeah. When you hear the phrase, follow the money, follow the numbers, what comes to mind?
When I hear the phrase follow the money and follow the numbers, it simply means look at what you have on paper and follow what's working, and fix what's not working. So when I see the numbers on my sheet of paper, okay, wait, I'm negative this month. I'm going to follow the numbers back to figure out what didn't work. Now, if it worked, I'm going to follow the numbers, I'm going to follow the money, and I'm going to reduplicate that.
How early should one start to learn more about finances? Like parents, when you talk to parents or grandparents today, how early on should they actually teach and train their children to become more financial literate?
As soon as they can start talking, period. Because if we can see that 5-year-olds can see a song on TikTok and see a dance on TikTok and remember how to do the dance, they can remember 3 simple phases: give, save, spend. They don't have to know all the nuances, but they can know, hey, if I give you $10, you got to give what? $1 to God. Okay, what's the next thing, son, daughter, granddaughter, grandson? Then I got to pay myself. I got to put money into my piggy bank. Yes, okay. Then what's next after that? Oh, I've been asking you for this toy. I can now chip in for this toy. Just start teaching it earlier on. One of my good friends is a elementary school teacher, and every single year she takes her fifth graders to Tennessee State University just to see just to see the campus. And I asked her this about 10 years ago. I said, well, why do you do this? She said, because I want them to have the image in their head of where they're going.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. Let's go to break. We'll be back right here on Point with Juandolyn Stokes. Welcome back to On Point with Juandolyn Stokes, right here, News and Talk, WAOK. Anthony O'Neill sharing with us today. And listen, if you've been listening, some very insightful information, but I want you to think for a moment, are you living from paycheck to paycheck? Just think about it, and wondering, where is your money going? Do you have a vision? Do you have an outlook? Do you have a strategy? Well, Anthony O'Neill is the one that certainly can help you, because he's been helping people for years to take control of their finances and build a stronger financial future. So guess what? He's got a new book coming out August 25th, and you can go straight to AnthonyO'Neill.com. Now, the name of this book, simply put, Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck. And this is one of those books that you probably need to distribute to all of your family members. When you go to the next family reunion or holidays or the birthdays or whatever, give everybody a copy of this book, Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck, because it will change your mindset and your approach so that you can walk in financial freedom. And you know what? That can happen today. And especially it can happen beginning August 25th with Anthony O'Neill. Anthony, what is your whole philosophy around helping others to really embrace financial freedom?
It's needed. When we look at the studies, when we look at the numbers, if nearly 78% of us live in paycheck to paycheck, doesn't matter the income size, because if you really break down the numbers, about 48% of people who make over $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck. And let's even go deeper. They say by 2054, the average African American will have zero to negative net worth. But then also, let's just go to today, that the average person in America, if a financial emergency came up and it cost more than $400 for it, they couldn't afford to pay cash. They had to put it on a credit card or go borrow money. So when I hear that, I'm like, man, we got to do better. We got to get to the point that we are laying the foundation down. One of the biggest things that I have a problem with is when I hear people say we got to close the wealth gap. But we'll never close the wealth gap, because we got to ask our other counterparts to stop making money. But what we can do is we can narrow the wealth gap, and we can get strategic within our families, and we can get on a budget. We can start investing. We can live below our means. We can create margin. We can start investing more. We can be strategic with every single dollar that comes in. But we can't be strategic if we do not have a plan, and we're just out here hoping and guessing at what we're going to do with our finances. That's not good stewardship. Because one thing I've learned, that when I really started becoming a good steward of my resources and started having a strategic zero-based budget, started creating margin within my life, out of nowhere, I saw God start giving me raises here and different opportunities there, because he could trust me with more. And so that is important to me. Being a man of color who was all for our community and the kingdom community, if we're going to impact the world, we got to have more financial resources. But it starts in our homes with being better stewards.
Absolutely true. Anthony, what do you say to the man, the woman who has lost a job this year, through downsizing, layoffs, this federal cuts? What do you say to that person in terms of, as they're looking at their finances and unemployment was not enough? How do they begin that journey of financial freedom?
One, I would say I understand. 650 African-American males lost their jobs within the first quarter of this year. A little over 1 million African-American sisters lost their job within the last 12 months. So one, understand you're not alone. Number two, one of the best things you can really look into currently from a practical perspective to at least generate some income until you could find something within your particular career field is AI and tech. Right now, AI automations is one of the fastest growing side businesses that are being launched right now. You can literally take that boot camp within a matter of 60 days and have a side income making you an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month, because businesses are looking for ways to save money through automations that save some time. And so what I would do is I would immediately start Googling and start chat GPT or jump on Claude and look for companies that are looking for AI automation experts, because it doesn't require any kind of degree, doesn't even require any kind of prior experience. It just requires you to go to a boot camp for an hour a day for the next 30 days, next 30 to 60 days max. And within a matter of that time, you could have a side income or a side business. And then you're doing that while also looking for a job. But while you're out of a job, while you are struggling, the key thing here is limit down to just 5 main things that you're spending your money on. 1, your mortgage. You got to keep a roof over your head. Number 2, food. You got to keep yourself energized and going. Number 3, utilities. You need your lights on. You need your AC and your heat going. Number 4, basic transportation, right? Then number 5 is a bonus, and make sure you have some type of resources for any child care that you may have. Those are the 5 things that I'm focusing on. I'm not going out to eat. I'm not going out on dates if I'm single. I'm counseling all apps that I have, all subscriptions that I have. I'm getting down to those 5 things so that way I can keep a little bit of breathing room until I can get some more income coming in.
That's great. Good tips, good advice from Anthony O'Neill. I certainly appreciate you today. We've got to certainly have you back because there's so many things we kind of covered. We just hit them, but I want to certainly have you come back and share with us. Let us know, Anthony, how can our audience stay in connection with you?
Man, the main thing is go to anthonyoneil.com. That's all resources are on that website to specifically get the book. And for your audience only, if they go to anthonyoneil.com/book, pre-order the book that comes out next Thursday, we will give them a copy of my last book, Take Your Seat at the Table, just for pre-ordering the book on Amazon today, Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck. So go to anthonyoneil.com/book. And remember, this is Anthony O'Neill, the professor, the author, and y'all are listening to, I believe, the baddest show out here, On Point with Juandolyn Stokes, where we live well and we win well.
Thank you so much, Anthony. We'll certainly be in touch with you, and we appreciate you. And those of you who missed the show today, certainly it'll be on WAOK's YouTube page. Subscribe, and once it's uploaded, you'll be able to catch and watch this video with Anthony O'Neill. Don't forget now, the new book comes out August 25th. Go ahead and pre-order now. Stop living paycheck to paycheck, and make sure you get at least 12 of them at a time. For your family members, because we're talking about educating and informing others. So we've got to do that. Thank you, Anthony. We'll be in touch, and we appreciate you sharing with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Have a great one now. It's On Point with Juandolyn Stokes. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and we will be back on tomorrow from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. on a free-flowing Friday. I appreciate you. Our audience also, make sure, listen, you stay connected to On Point with Juandolyn Stokes on IG, keeping you on point. Also, make sure you go to WAOK's YouTube page, and you'll be able to subscribe so that you can get the notification when we upload this particular video for you, this financial segment with Anthony O'Neill. Have a great one. Thanks so much, Zen, my producer. I appreciate you so very much. Have a great one, everybody. This is your friend and sister girl, Juandolyn Stokes. I'm out of here.